I gotta say, when I was watching Lair of the White Worm, I had to download it from some Pirate Bay Mirror website that I've never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
And my internet is so fast here. So I downloaded it in like 10, 15 seconds. And when I put it on, I was like, oh, the color's off? Did I fuck up my TV somehow? And I realized, oh, no, that's actual colors of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, crazies, to the Complete Guide to Horror podcast. Today we're talking Lair of the White Worm, 1988 horror comedy film, loosely based on the 1911 Bram Stoker novel of the same name, drawing upon the English legend of the Lambton Worm, in which Angus Flint is a Scottish archaeology student excavating the site of a convent at the Derbyshire, or Derbyshire, whatever name, bed and breakfast run by the Trent sisters, Mary and Eve.
Ken Russell's The Lair of the White Worm.
I'm famished. Should we stop on the way for a bite?
Watch out for your ass.
He unearths an unusual skull, which appears to be that of a large snake. Angus believes it may be connected to the local legend of the Dampton, whatever you want to call it, worm, a mythical snake-like creature from ages past, said to have been slain in Stonerich Cavern by John Dampton, whatever, the ancestor of current Lord of the Manor, James Dampton, played by none other than Hugh Grant, the personification of Teeth himself.
This is terribly awkward, but I wanted to tell you something, but I seem to be so charmingly befuddled.
Ah, that Hugh Grant is so handsome.
Oh, is that how it is? Come here, you home-wrecking bastard!
Don't do it, Dad. He's bigger than you.
Now, Coop, this is your pick of the month, so I really want to know, what did you think about this installment and why did you pick it?
All right, here we go. So many moons ago, and there's going to be an ongoing theme, I think, from all of us, where we're going to be talking about Nambuckerhead's Video Easy. So I actually only watched this movie in, I think it was November of last year. However, I remember this cover in Video Easy, and it was an R-rated movie, and I was just a kid in Nambucca, and I knew I wouldn't be able to see it for years and years, but I'd always look at this cover, I was like, what is this movie?
And who the hell are they?
But you've just got this image of this like woman in almost like blue purple makeup with like evil eyes and fangs, and it's R-rated, and you look on the back and you've got an image of this woman basically wearing a strap-on wooden stake. And I mean, at the time, I was just like, oh, that woman's got a spike where you know the private parts are, as a kid, you know, not understanding at the time what a strap-on is.
What the fuck am I wearing? Where's my badge?
Molly, I have no genitals.
How do I pee? How do I shit?
This popped up randomly. I think it was Amazon Prime or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's that movie. I've got to watch it, and watched it with my partner. I think at the time I'd had a couple of drinks, and it was we had a fucking great time with this movie. I was laughing all throughout. Had no idea what to expect going into it. I mean, I'd read that it was meant to be like a comedy. I never thought that's what it was when I was a kid looking at this cover. I assumed it was going to be the most violent sexual thing that had ever been made. And it's pretty sexual, but it's not super violent or anything like that. But it's just an incredibly fun time. It's just so weird to see Hugh Grant in, I think, one of his first movies, if I'm not wrong, or it was pre-fame Hugh Grant. I don't think it was this that put him on the map. And also Peter Capaldi, who was, you know, known as being a a very funny swearing Scottish man. It was weird to watch a movie with him not swearing the whole time or being Doctor Who. But I think this movie has some of my favorite dream sequences and visions and shit in it. Some of the particular dream sequence with Hugh Grant and his dreaming about being on an aeroplane. Like, whoa, there's some intense imagery in this movie. But at the same time, it's just like the campiest, silliest thing that you've ever seen. And you're just watching it the whole time like, what the fuck? He's going around with the bagpipes, charming vampire people. It's ridiculous how all over the shop this movie is, but just like the whole time, you just cannot look away. I think it's a great movie. And if you're into sort of campy, stupid, horror-ish British movies with some pretty funny dialogue, and they make fun of kind of dopey country Englishmen as well, which is another funny thing, then yeah, I couldn't recommend this movie more if I could try.
I love you, dog!
I was putting together this wardrobe from Kmart. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll glance at the screen occasionally. As soon as I put on Lair of the White Worm, I was like, this might be a movie I'm not necessarily going to get. So I'll just like screw in the furniture and everything. I had to put it aside after 6 minutes because I was like, if I don't watch this movie, I'm not going to be able to follow what happens. And for me, I was so pleasantly surprised with just how fucking batshit insane it is. I felt like it was one of those movies that doesn't take itself too seriously. It fully commits to the whole camp theme. So if it goes over the top, it goes way over the top. There's no holding back. But I also got the sense that there was a lot of influence from like other avant-garde filmmakers like John Waters. I felt like this is a movie that actually out John Waters himself. Also really liked that, a movie is supposed to be entertaining if it doesn't have like a core message or a core theme about it. And for me, this is even though it is over the top, it's a very understated movie as well. So if I put this on for literally any person, I know they're going to love it. But at the same time, they might be like, where did you come across this movie again? So, no, I really, really loved it. BP, did you have any thoughts about this movie overall?
It's not a movie I usually go for. So I was like looking at the plot. I didn't even look at the trailer actually. I started watching it and I was like, this is like a Coop one, I can tell. I had a good time. It's bizarre, if anything. I think I'm just, mainly traumatized by the that worm. It just keeps popping up. Popped up around the Jesus thing, and then at the end when it's coming up through the pipe and it just kept like making that sound, and it kind of actually, it reminded me when we were talking about Eden Lake, how I said it about the ending sort of sticks with me. That kind of like, it's eerily creepy, that worm and that whole. It wasn't. I didn't feel comfortable, I should say. It's not a bad thing. And the other thing I like is what you touched on, Troop, was when he's on the plane, and I was like, "Is that meant to be a penis?" And it was slowly going up the texture. And then no one's covered it yet, but there's a saxophone that comes in like pretty much every scene. I noticed in the background there's a saxophone that plays. Yeah, I really like that as well. That's what I write. And yeah, I don't know. It was just. I didn't really know what to think of it. I just kind of went in with an open mind. I didn't really understand what was going on, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was an interesting experience. I didn't know what I was getting right, but yeah, had a good time.
Kids love cereal. Kids love me. $5 million worth every fucking penny.
What was
completely blew my expectations away. I was very fascinated. I feel like there needs to be more movies like this, in the sense of we don't really have any avant-garde horror anymore. If we do have it, it's very doesn't pop up on my newsfeed. It doesn't go up on horror movie websites like bloodydisgusting.com. So I would like to see more of this. Also, I just added that, I guess it is appropriate for its time. If you were to try and release this kind of movie in 2022, there might be some naysayers and some of those terminally online internet people like myself who are just like, I don't like this movie, but at the same time, who cares? But no, I gotta say, one of my favorite parts of the movie was actually the main snake character itself. I felt if you're gonna do something that's like a weird hybrid snake slash worm slash human, but not really human character, go overboard with it. And I felt they really committed to it. I love actually, I don't know if it's a male or a female that played the main snake. I couldn't actually figure that part out, but I really liked the casting for it as well. For me, I was a little taken aback by Hugh Grant, only because I know him from, rom-coms and other movies like that. Bridget Jones's Diarrhea. I was thinking about it being like, he was in that movie with Renee Zellweger. I had no idea he was in this late 80s comedy movie. I didn't think that he would do something like this, but I'm glad that, he went outside his comfort zone to do this for one of his first movies.
Yeah.
Coop, did you have any particular favorite part or parts of this movie?
Several. I love all of it. I really like, of course, that dream sequence that I mentioned before at the aeroplane scene. When they start playing the snake charming music on the speakers on the manor, and then it cuts to Lady Sylvia Marsh, and you just see a basket, and she's just rising out of the basket like a snake, and then she starts like dancing towards it's just so ridiculous, and I love it. I love the the what do you call, like the butler character, Hugh Grant's butler, like where he was getting excited because he gets to run him a bath, and then he was just like, what I need you to do is make sure that front door's open, and then tell the chambermaids to lock themselves in their room. And he's like, yes, open the door and lock up the chambermaids. Okay. And then just like all these characters just have all these strange quirks about them, and it's already such a ridiculous movie in itself anyway. So I just feel like it plays to its strengths in all departments. It just fully embraces the stupidity of what it is, and it just makes for a bloody rollicking good time.
There's a scene where they're in the car. She picks up that guy on the side of the road when it's wet in the rain, and she's like, "Oh, come back to mine, and we can have I'll make you some food." And then it just literally transitions to the shot of him like in a row, sitting next to a fire, like takes the mother or shoots the mother, whatever they're doing. And then there's like a seduction thing going on now. That's so weird. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't even think he knows what's going on right now. And then just the imagery of this snake like coming up, and it kept coming up. And I'm like, what is it? Like it's a worm, yeah, it's a worm, but it looks like a snake. I don't know. I just was very confused. And bloody eyes. And the dream sequences, what did I write? The airplane scene, and then the sacrifice scene. I didn't really know what was going on in the sacrifice scene. I kind of thought something was getting raped or attacked. I didn't really it was all kind of happening.
Yeah, I think what was going on with that was like, I think she was, about to have a go with her with the strap-on wooden stake thing, and she said something like, well, there's no time for ceremony because the snake thing, worm. And I think the idea with that, with the worm snake thing was, they mention it briefly in the movie, is like the old word for worm, which is verm, which is like VYRM, which is actually the word for snake. So that's just kind of a weird thing there. But I think that was like implied that was going to happen, and then they were running out of time, so it was just like, oh fuck it, I'm just going to feed you to the snake without doing that, which is probably good to have it implied rather than having to watch something like that play out, thankfully. But yeah,
for a 1988 film, it had pretty decent visuals though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some crazy shit.
Pretty cool.
Like, that's one thing that I was going to touch on. For me, this is like a general criticism of 80 movies in general, but like a lot of the color tones tend to be quite yellow/brown based. So I really like that the snake worm hybrid itself was purple. I felt that it helped it stand out amongst the rest of the background, but even just small things like the location sets and whatnot tended to be quite drab in color. I don't know if that was done on purpose to really help accentuate the purple color of the snake, but this is my only like least favorite part of the movie is maybe they could have done a bit better with the color grading, just with the rest of the like location sets and whatnot. But at the same time, in saying that, if they changed it to something that was a bit more modern, I don't know if it would work for a movie like this. I think it has its own unique style, but maybe they could have just like upped the contrast a little bit. But, you know, when I compare this movie to other 80s, my straight away thought goes to Child's Play 2, where it was like very bright colors, you know, that toy factory sequence. It's a lot of yellow, it's a lot of red, it's a lot of blue to help, you know, distinguish Chucky from the rest of the doll factory. But I don't know if it really, I don't know what I'm actually trying to say, but
what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, I feel like it just could have used a little more contrast, a little bit more crushing of the blacks, a little bit more brightness. Maybe that would have helped the movie feel a bit more modern, as opposed to being like, oh, straight away, I know this is a late 70s or possibly 80s movie. And like, yeah, it's released in 1988 and it still somewhat holds up today, but I don't know, maybe it could have had like a little touch up done, but that's the only slight criticism I can give of this movie. Everything else, 10 out of 10. But Coop, I wanted to know, did you have any least favorite parts of the movie?
I guess some of the dialogue was a bit like stunted and not like delivered as well as it could be, but I don't know. I feel like that lends to the charm of it being sort of set in like countryside England, and they don't talk properly there, so that's all right. But yeah, no, I think overall, I don't think there was any sort of like weaknesses about it, at least as far as my enjoyment of it. I thought it was pretty consistent. I think there was one bit actually after Peter Capaldi's already charmed and fucked up the policeman with the strange eye. It's a snake vampire thing. He fucked him up, but then he was like going through the house with the bagpipes to make sure there was nothing else in there, and that scene just like went on way too long. And I'm just like, all right, I'm sick of hearing bagpipes now.
Yeah,
I'd say that's probably the only thing, is the bagpipe limit. That's something that any filmmaker needs to keep in mind, is the bagpipe limit. Remember that from now on.
Just realizing now, a lot of things in this movie are quite phallic. Like, not only the snake itself, but also like the bagpipes. I guess you could say that's like a metaphor for male appendage and stuff. But I feel like that kind of was done on purpose as well. Like, it has to commit to its theme. As I said before, I'm glad that it didn't like, oh no, we're gonna like hold back in these scenes, so there's like a right balance of like crazy over the top and maybe some melodrama or whatnot. But no, I didn't feel like it held back at all, which I appreciate. BP, likewise, same question. Did you have any least favorite parts of the movie, or are you still trying to figure out what the movie was about?
Still trying to work out what I watched, yeah. I can't really think of anything negative. It was just a different experience, a different type of movie I generally don't go towards, but I appreciate there's movies out there that are like that. As you said, Justin, it's a shame there's not really anything out there current. If anything, it's not really relevant, but my only thinking was something like Midsummer that might have some sort of messages in it, might be somewhat kind of something that's current, or Hereditary, but not really. But there's nothing really out there that I can say that's come out that's like this that I've seen in the last decade, or even since like 2000 that I can think of. But yeah, no, it's an interesting experience, and it's good to sort of shake up from what we've been watching. Sort of just look at a different type of horror, I guess, and how it's done. So, yeah.
I think you've hit the nail on the head as well. Like, if we talk about this movie from a context of does it still hold up today, I think 100,000% yes. Even though when you do watch it, straight away it's distinctly 80s, whether it's the color tone or whether it's the visual structure, or even the fact Hugh Grant is like 35 years younger. But at the same time, I don't See, I can't think of any other movie in the past like 10, 20, even 30 years that's as committed to its over-the-topness as this film. You know, even if I try to think of like a David Lynch movie or Lars von Trier or even John Waters or some other out there one, I can't think of one that's done it in terms of this concept as well. I guess you could talk about, you know, that Vanessa Hudgens movie, Spring Breakers, how that's like really over the top with its characters and everything.
James Franco.
Yeah, I just feel that was more cringe as opposed to actually decent entertaining. Likewise, you could say A Simple Favor with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, but that's distinctly rooted in like drama / mystery whodunit. But even then, it doesn't have like too much of like the over the topness in terms of like color or in terms of like just weird fucking ass characters and everything.
You don't let me have any fun.
That's not true. I'd let you tear my labia as you exited my body. So you're welcome.
Like that movie is a bit more subtle, even though sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, so the wife went missing and 1 week later her best friend steals her husband. Okay, cool. But like, Coop, do you think that this particular movie still holds up today?
It depends. It depends on the audience, really. Like, I mean, yes, I do. I watched it less than a year ago, and it's up there for me now. So I'd say yes in that regard, but I guess it would depends on the tastes of the audience. If someone's not particularly into 80s movies, then they would probably not like this movie at all. If people aren't into you know, campy comedy in there with their horror, then they're probably not going to like it either. But overall, I think it does. I think that it's a very good watch. And if you're familiar with that kind of tone in movie, then you would absolutely enjoy it in the present day.
Yeah. Actually, it's a really good point. I think a lot of people are a bit too afraid to watch movies from the 80s. I actually have this coworker, and I'm calling her out right now. Hi, Harriet. But she told me the other day she doesn't watch movies past 2010. And I was like, what? You're like, yeah, she's a bit younger. She's 22, 23, I think. But
like before 2010 or like after 2010?
No, before 2010, she won't watch it. And that completely shocked me because I was like,
wow.
Look, when I was 7 years old, I was watching Blankety Blanks. I was watching The Twilight Zone with my mum. Those are two of my favorite shows of all time.
You're entering the vicinity of an area adjacent to a location. The kind of place where there might be a monster or some kind of weird mirror. These are just examples. It could also be something much better. Prepare to enter the scary door.
I'm actually starting to find quite quickly that I'm enjoying finding out more 70s movies, more 80s movies, even from, because like I work in marketing. One of the things I've really enjoyed about editing these podcast episodes is even like late 80s movies, I would have just these crazy ads where it's like, Chucky's back again. We don't have anything like that now. It's a very high glossy trailer. It's like very professionally retouched photos of like movie sets and everything. That's just like, give me something that's really gonna get my attention. Like that Chucky sequence where he like steps on the box and he's like, Chucky's back. I was like, yep, I know straight away that this is a sequel. Chucky's the main star. I want to go and see it. Whereas if I watched the trailer, I'd be like, oh no, I might just turn it off after 10 seconds. I got other shit to watch, you know? But I feel like modern day horror definitely needs to learn a lot from 70s and 80s horror.
I have my career. You guys don't. You want what I have. And for me, it's a waste of my time.
We're seeing some slow change, but I feel like it's instead of going down the path of making horror really scary and really great again, now we're getting numerous sequels like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 57, where it's like
on a bus.
on a bus. And also, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of my community, but it felt very shoehorned in that, you know, the main characters of that particular movie were non-binary, and that's like they didn't really add anything. And at the same time, if they were going to do something like that, I would have liked if they had touched on like the struggles of being non-binary, or likewise maybe just not directly mention it in the first place, so it does help normalize that concept in society. But it felt very much like that's a new trend, let's put it in. And it's like, well, A, it's not a trend, and B, it doesn't really add to the story or anything. It's like, I don't like using the term woke personally, because I think that's like a catch-all thing, but I don't know, just things like that. I'm like, they could have done it a lot better. And at the same time, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie just wasn't scary. Like, I watched the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the 70s, and there's like one very clear scene I'll always remember where she's at the dinner table and the cannibalistic family are like yelling at her and shit, and it's like all the extreme close-ups of her eye. That makes me feel so unsettled, so scared. And yet, when I tell people, go watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, they're great. They're like, no, I don't watch 70s movies. I like to watch the modern day stuff on Netflix. And it's like, Netflix is shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm someone who just ripped it out.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, like, if you're going to do remakes, make sure you do them well. Otherwise, it will come off really shit.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this? Like, one that griped, which when we talked about it, will be Carrie, because I just never understood why we needed a remake, and it was such a bad remake, and I was so excited for it. And it just annoys me that it's just really badly done. And they can't even get the casting right for that movie.
I got to say, with Carrie, so I really love the original Carrie with Sissy Spacek. I don't think many people know that it's technically not a direct sequel, even though it's called Carrie 2, but there's a late 90s movie called The Rage Carrie 2, where it's like a different high school girl, but she's a lot more, I don't know, I guess you could say like emo or goth or whatnot. But all the kill sequences in that movie, they stayed with me since I was a kid when I watched it. But it's one of those movies where I'm like, everything else was kind of shit. And then when it got to the part where she loses control like Carrie did in the first movie, fuck, that was good. Like, I loved every part of it. Like, even just small things like when she makes the CDs fly out and they start like decapitating people, I was like, that's creative. I would have never thought of that in a million years. But, come on, horror, get back to fucking good shit. I don't want to see another Blumhouse movie. I don't want to see The Black Phone 23 or Saw, with another apprentice.
But at the same time, I think it's just like, I think they need to just be creative and come up with something new rather than relying on past sequels and movies to kind of like, bring it back up to the 2022 year cycle. Like, it's time to sort of like stop recycling old content. And if you do it, make sure you do it properly. Otherwise, you're going to have a massive fallout. Like, the new Lightyear is one of those ones, for example, that kind of annoys me that Disney kind of went and got rid of Tom Hanks and just recast it.
Tim Allen. Wasn't it Tim
Allen? The whole thing. And I'm watching the box office figures, like, it's just bombing, and I'm like, good. Kind of hope Disney kind of learns from this, not to kind of fuck with the original recipes.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I saw their reasoning that it was, it's based on the Buzz Lightyear toy that was in Toy Story, and that's why they changed the voice. But to me, it's like, when I heard about Buzz Lightyear, I just assumed Tim Allen was coming back, because Home Improvement guy, he's been the voice of Buzz Lightyear for 20-something years, like from what Chris Evans, but I don't know. I'm 29. I don't care for Toy Story anymore, but if I was a kid, I would be expecting Tim Allen. If I heard someone else's voice, I'd be like, what's happening?
From what I've read, Tim Allen didn't resonate Buzz Lightyear with the plot of the Lightyear movie. So he didn't actually want to do it. So Disney's then gone and got that Chris Pine guy to do it. But then there was the whole controversy of the same-sex kiss that was in it. Then Disney was going to get rid of it, and then that blew up. So they put it back in, but I think the damage is already done. That Disney kind of is going to just take it out. People are like, so that's another one. Yeah.
My favorite thing is when there's like something really small and insignificant, where it's like, two female characters like pecking each other on the cheek or pecking each other on the lips, or you see like a scene where it's like two dads like walking the same pram or something, and all the conservatives on Facebook fucking blow up about it. They're like, "This is disgusting. They're promoting sex to my children." That's like, do you think sex is kissing? Because in that case, I'm a huge slut, and also, like, why are you so afraid of it? But that's just like conservatives always like making shit up just to like get other people angry at shit they made up themselves. But sorry, BP, I don't think I asked you the question. Sorry. Do you think this movie holds up?
I think it still holds up in its own realm. As you said, it is 80, definitely straight away. But like we've discussed, there hasn't really been a movie since. Well, that I know of, unless Coop has another one in the bag somewhere. That I can think of that's sort of been out. So I think it's sort of like a cult classic in a way that, yes, it's older. And as we discussed, I don't think anyone probably below our age threshold would be finding this movie and watching it unless they're like a real horror movie buff. So it's one of those movies that's really going to appeal an older demographic that knew about the film around the time or grew up with it. That's just, I guess, how it goes with an older movie, if it's horror or drama or romantic, whatever it is. But yeah, I think it still holds up in its own realm, but it is a dated movie. But
I just found a pretty funny quote, I reckon. This is from Ken Russell, who wrote the screenplay and directed this movie and produced it. Just on the reception, he said the movie became a cult film, appropriately enough, down under. It did well in other countries, but not in Merry England, where our dour-faced critics insisted on taking it seriously. How on earth can you take seriously the vision of Catherine Oxenberg dressed in Marks and Spencer's underwear being sacrificed to a fake phallic worm 200 feet long? There you go.
The more you know. It doesn't actually surprise me that it did well in Australia. I feel like we have more of a laid-back culture with our jokes and also with our taste. I can see this being on maybe not Channel 10 or Channel 7, but maybe SBS in like one of their late-night films where it's like, oh, let's stay up till midnight. Hopefully we see a tit. No, but then
just before, just before Rage starts, so that they be Rage.
Rage.
Oh God, I miss music television.
So good, hey.
Video hits.
Rage, video hits. Now there's nothing because you can access everything on YouTube, but it's just not the same. Like I remember listening to, God, this takes me back, like the top 30 with.
This would be like a Nelly Furtado era, and Fergie era for you, Justin.
Oh yeah, when it was like the golden trio, it was Fergie, Nelly Furtado, and
like Gwen or something.
Gwen Stefani, that's it.
Yeah. They'd be like number one, like Big Girls Don't Cry, I'm like, righto.
I'm sorry, I fucking hate that song. I love Fergie, but not that song.
Well, it's that or it's the national anthem, the inauguration that she did. So you got to choose.
No.
I remember being like 9 or 10 and dropping everything anytime that fucking tattoos, all the things she said, music video came on.
I love that song. You want to know something weird? So that entire song, all the things she said, even though it was released late 2002, it was actually an English language remake of their song from the year 2000 that was also like hugely popular in Russia. And I guess, Sony or whatever label they signed to saw the potential. So they like repackaged it, did the English language version. But I don't think many people know in that video. So they're like making out and stuff and they're kissing in the rain. And then there's a plot twist at the end where they're actually not fenced off. It's actually the rest of the people that are fenced off. But there's controversy around it because when they're like kissing and stuff, they were actually 15 years old because that was recorded in the year 2000. So there was a big hubbub recently about it. And I remember watching it as a kid when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And that was like my first exposure to like lesbians on the TV. And in my mind, because when you're like a little kid and like teenagers seem older than they really are, I was like, oh yeah, they're like 19 or 20. And like, it's actually kind of creepy. You go back, like if you search like all the things she said, some of the first results on Google are like For Him magazine, FHM, top hottest moments in music. And they listed, and I'm just like, you guys do know those girls were 15, right? Like, did no one double check this or anything? But
yeah,
the pervy old boss is writing it. He's like, oh.
Yeah, like, and then there's like a lot of controversy with that band in recent years where one of them went on Russian TV and was like, oh, if I had a gay son, I'd beat him. And it's like, girl, you were making out with a girl when you were 15 in a music video that made you millions of dollars, but that's another story for another day.
Happy to have your money, but yeah.